All right. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. We have another special guest. This is Coach Mark. I was on his podcast, I guess, not too long ago. I don't know when you guys are gonna post that, but if it's posted by the time I post this video, I'll put the link to it in the description. So this is Coach Mark. He's super cool dude, but I'll let him introduce himself and kind of how he came to Carnivore.
Thanks very much, Aaliyah, for having me on. Yeah, I had you on my podcast a few weeks ago, and we spoke about everything about endometriosis. So yeah, I've been doing carnivore now for nearly 4 years. I'm actually coaching this way at the moment. Um, I grew up with an eating disorder very, very young. It started off when I was around 13 or 14 years of age. Um, I grew up with like anorexia. I was actually obese as well. So the reason why I got into carnivore because I've tried everything else. I tried every single diet. Nothing ever worked for me. I never had food freedom. And when I came into the carnivore space, it changed absolutely everything. So I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but that's basically how it all started.
Yeah, I love going deep, but I like knowing all the little nitty gritty stuff that people kind of get uncomfortable talking about. If that's not weird for you.
Mm. Okay, so yeah, so this happened when I was around 13 or 14 years of age. So I would have been bullied in school. I was a chubby child. I was one of those kids that would have been never picked on the sports team, and if I was always picked last. I never had any confidence to speak to women, and it got to me. And I always wanted to be thin, always. So I said, right, okay, I need to try and lose weight myself. So I remember walking home from school. I picked up a magazine, and I remember seeing this guy in the front of the magazine, and he's a bodybuilder. And I was like, I'd love to look like him. I'd love to look like him. But I didn't have the money to join a gym. So I just said, right, I'm going to train at home. I'm going to do some pull-ups, some press-ups, and I'm going to run every single day. And I'm just going to focus on my food and let's see what happens. And I did it for a couple of weeks, and the weight was coming off, and everything was going really, really well. I was actually enjoying it, and I did it for about 3 days a week. And then I started getting addicted. I was doing it like 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and then eventually I got this. I was doing it every single day. Um, and then my mother told me like about a few months later, she's like, "Why don't you not just join a gym? We'll give you the money, and you can join a gym." So I said, "Right, I'll go down the next day." I spoke to the manager, and I said, "Is there any chance I can use your gym?" And the manager said, "Yeah, no problem at all." So this was fantastic. I was going to join a gym, and the same thing. I went into the gym. I loved it. Fell in love with the place. Trained every single day. Started off doing with cardio, weight training, um, and I'd done that for a couple of months. But I didn't realize that I was losing too much weight. And at this stage, my nutrition would have been horrendous. Like I would have been eating like just protein, cereal, uh, fruit. So there would have been no nutritional value in my food whatsoever. And I did that for a couple of years until one day we were actually on a family holiday, and back then we didn't. I know you were only 16 years of age, but back then we didn't have any remote controls to switch the TV. And I remember switching. I remember getting off the chair to switch the channels, and as I switched the channels, I collapsed. Don't know what happened. Apparently, I was out for 5 minutes, and my heart had stopped. I don't know. I don't know what happened. So the doctors were called, everybody was called, and I had to go into the hospital. This was in Spain at the time. And they diagnosed me with anorexia.
Hmm.
And anorexia is basically where you have an eating disorder, you're restricting your food for a very, very long time. And when you go into these hospitals, they just try and help you, but they're giving you basically junk basically. And to this day nothing has changed. So I went into the hospital, they put me on a drip, and they were feeding me every 3 hours. So I would have been like getting like protein bars, weight gainer shakes, jelly and ice cream. Like the nutrition was absolutely horrendous, like really, really bad. And every time they gave me food, I would throw it away because I didn't feel comfortable around food at this time. Until one night my mother came in to visit me, and she literally broke down in tears in front of me, and she told me straight that she didn't want to lose me. Um, and when I seen my mother cry, I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. So I said, right, I'm going to listen to the doctors and I'm going to take on their advice. So for about a year, I was in like their hands. I was in rehab. They were giving me all this treatment. They told me when I went back home I had to be on these weight gainer shakes. I listened to them, and everything went really, really well. I put the weight back on, and then about 2 or 3 years later, my parents were like, "Okay, you're not going to go through that ever again." So they put me into a rugby school. Now I don't know if you know anything about rugby, but these guys are like huge, massive guys, and these guys wanted to put discipline into me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in. These people are gonna teach me how to lift weights, and I'm gonna lose weight. This is gonna be amazing.
Were you good at
So
rugby?
yeah, play.
What
I played
position did you play?
play. I played scrum half for 7 years.
Wow.
So I played at a good level. I played for the sevens as well. So I played at a really, really good level. So I started my rugby career when I was around 18 years of age. And at that time I would have weighed maybe around 140 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, that's
But it
like like rugby players tend to be huge, especially flankers.
Yep. So I started my career at 140 pounds, and when I finished my career, which was around 7 years later, I blew up to over 300 pounds.
Oh wow.
I was a big, big guy. Now I'm only 5'3". I'm not a big guy. And I felt powerful in the gym. So when I was walking into the gym, I was lifting a lot of weights. I felt good. But when I was on the football pitch, I couldn't last 10 minutes. And then I was noticing things like when I was walking up the stairs, I'd be out of breath, and my mental health was getting affected. I was getting angry on a regular basis. And the majority of my diet would have been like carbohydrate based, a lot of carbohydrates, like a lot of clean carbohydrates, what they normally say now, like oats, sweet potatoes, rice, potatoes, stuff like that. And I would have been eating a lot of lean sources of protein, very, very little fats, and a lot of vegetables and fruits. So when I look back then, I thought, okay, these guys are the experts. They know what they're talking about. So I'm just going to follow what they say. But something wasn't right. And when I came out of my rugby career, I was like, okay, I don't want to be this size anymore. This doesn't feel comfortable. I need to start losing weight. So at this stage, I knew a little bit about nutrition. So I said, right, okay, I'm going to go on these low calorie diets. And for years I did this. I did every single low calorie diet that you can possibly think of. I did paleo, I did carb backloading, I did high protein diets, I did you name it, I did every single diet. And I could never get it right. I could always lose the weight, but I could always put the weight back on. And I never had that food freedom. I was always hungry. And then about 6 years ago I came across keto. And I came across it by accident, to be honest. I just said to myself, what about if I just eliminate the carbohydrates out of my diet? Because I used to always have gut issues. And in my mind, I was always thinking, like, what about if I just eliminate the carbohydrates? Because I think this is what the problem is. So I eliminated the carbohydrates and I went down the keto route. And all I did was I ate protein, but my fat intake was really bad. I was eating a lot of peanut butter, almonds, like stuff like that. But I was still eating very, very high protein, and my mental health was still getting affected. I was like, what's wrong with me? I don't want to be on antidepressants for the rest of my life. There's something wrong with me. Something's just not right. So I did it for a couple of years, and I got in amazing shape. And then 4 years ago, I came across this podcast. This bodybuilder was talking about carnivore, and I had never heard of carnivore in my life ever. But the more this guy kept on speaking, his story resonated with mine. He dealt with eating disorders. He dealt with mental health issues all his life until he came across carnivore, and it literally changed his life. So I was like, okay, if this is going to change his life, this actually might change my life. So the minute the podcast was over, I went home and I said, right, all I'm going to eat is just steak, eggs, salt, and water. That's it. I'm not going to eat anything else. And within 3 days, my mental health got better. My eating disorder got better. I had no more digestive issues. My energy was absolutely perfect. And I was like, this is amazing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it for a week. And then it was 3 months. And now 4 years later, I'm still doing carnivore. I haven't eaten a carbohydrate or a vegetable or a piece of fiber in 4 years. And I feel absolutely amazing. So, yeah, that's my story.
That's an awesome story. How did you get into coaching?
So I started coaching when I was 19 years of age.
Mhm.
I started coaching. I used to do PT in a gym.
Mhm.
And then I used to work abroad. I worked on a cruise ship for over 10 years. And I always said I'm actually good at what I'm doing on my own. I don't want to work in a gym. So this is when I started my online business. So I started my own online business and things were going really, really well. I was getting people amazing results. Um, and that's when it started off. But people used to always ask me, like, Mark, I'm getting in amazing shape, but I don't feel good. And I didn't know how to handle this. I used to say to these people, okay, if you're not feeling good, then you probably need to go and see your doctor. I didn't know anything about food addiction or sugar addiction or the gut microbiome. I didn't know anything about this. I used to say if like and people used to come back to me and say I'm in pain training in the gym. And I'd be like, okay, you need to take this painkiller or just go and see your doctor. So that's when I changed my business to carnivore like 4 years ago. I was like, okay, I need to start coaching this way now, and I need to start coaching people how to do carnivore. And in that 4 years, I've worked with over 200 people. Most of them are women. As you know, I deal with an awful lot of metabolic issues like endometriosis, fibromyalgia, PCOS, the list goes on, menopause. Um, and we know that we can get in shape in on a calorie deficit, but we also know that our health is more important than being in a calorie deficit. And you're a prime example because there's a lot of people out there, especially women your age, that are going through an awful lot of pain with fibromyalgia and endometriosis. And the message that we're told daily is wrong. It's completely wrong. We're told that we just need to be on a low calorie diet. We need to be on a low fat. We need to be on a low fat diet. We need to be eating our fiber. We need to be eating carbohydrates. And we've all done this. I used to coach this way. I used to coach this way to so many people. But now I understand that it's not just about a low calorie diet anymore. It's all about your health. And that's what I'm trying to teach now going forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely can, maybe not to the extreme, but like eating disorders are no joke. Like, and so many people now struggle with them. Like, I think it's like most girls now that I know have some form of a eating disorder. And whether it's they just only consume processed food to their just your mind gets so frazzled, whatever you want to call it, about food when you're eating processed food, because you're like, why am I addicted to something that's I need, like something that I have to have? And when you don't realize how bad processed food or carbs or any of that stuff really is, you don't understand why you're addicted to it. It's just like there's something wrong with you. Like you just
Exactly.
think there's something wrong with you. You don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. See, the big thing the big thing in the world at the moment is obesity. That's that
Mhm.
and heart disease. When you look at obesity, when you talk to these people, the one thing that always comes up is they can't control their hunger. Their hunger's out of control. So they deal with this food noise. And that's why they brought out these injections because they couldn't understand how we're going to fix this because they've done the low calorie diets, they've done the diets, and it never worked. So if a low calorie diet worked, then we wouldn't be in a national obesity crisis at the moment.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, well, what else is going on in the world? And we need to understand that what the biggest problem is food addiction.
Mhm.
And people don't understand that when it comes to food addiction, this comes from all carbohydrates.
Yeah.
It's not just processed food. Carbohydrates turn to sugar in the body also. And when we look at a carbohydrate is a non-essential macronutrient. So when we look at the food pyramids and we're being told to go by the nutritional guidelines, everybody tells us that we should be eating at least 50% of our overall intake coming from carbohydrates. Now everybody's doing this and they're still struggling with their health. And
Yeah.
you talk to every second person, most people are on medication. They're either on painkillers. When you look at type 2 diabetes, people are on metformin. When you look at mental health, people are on antidepressants. You look at obesity, they're taking these injections. So the question needs to be asked, what's going on? Why are we relying on medication? Why can't we not just address this through lifestyle? And that's what we need to be focusing on. Because at the end of the day, everybody has to eat. So what you put in your mouth matters. So why are we not focusing on this?
Yeah, where are you based at?
I'm based in Ireland.
Ireland? That's what I thought. Where in Ireland?
Dublin.
Dublin. Yeah. I was like, he kind of sounds Irish, but I was like, I don't know if he sounds like what part of, because I know Dublin accents are like different when you get down in like Cork. They sound completely different. So I was like, I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's bugging me. But yeah, like I'm totally with you. Like we need to be asking these questions. People need to understand. People, they're not taking their health in their own hands, which is kind of weird to me. And at the end of the day, you're the owner of your body, right? You go to the doctor. The doctor isn't the owner of your body. The doctor's going to give you a drug. The doctor's going to find a problem and find a Band-Aid for it. He's not going to find how to keep this problem from happening again, how to make this problem permanently go away. Like, none of that. Because you're the one owning your body. The doctor can't force you to eat a carnivore diet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have the idea in my head, but don't know if I'm explaining it right. You have ownership over your body. So it's up to you to decide your health, your well-being, and if you're going to do things the right way. The doctors can't do that for you. So no matter how many pills you're taking, you're in control of your body. You should be the one making the decisions. And I think a lot of people rely so heavily on the medical system for pills and drugs and all these things when they should be relying on their health and their own mind and their own well-being. They should be self-sufficient, basically. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, the key word is choice. You should have a choice whether you're going to do this or not. I mean, there's a lot of pushback in the world now at the moment about eating fats and eating red meat and eating raw milk and eating butter and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you should never be forced to not do this. And that's what's going on at the moment. We have this agenda that we're told that we need to stay away from fats. We need to stay away from red meat. Now, when you look at what's going on in the world at the moment, every single one of us are on a low-fat diet. Every single one of us, our cholesterol numbers are very, very low. But yet, everybody is still struggling with their health.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so it's like, okay, well, hang on a second. We're doing what you guys are telling us what to do. We're going by the guidelines, but we're sicker than ever. So what's going on? And then what you guys are, when you look at what the big pharma and the big push are doing is, they're selling you the problem, and then when you get sick, they're going to sell you the solution.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And I really don't even think now it's the doctors anymore. I think it's, greed. The big pharma, they're greedy. They want money. And that's not even just in America. That's everywhere. Because, a lot of countries look up to America. And they kind of follow a lot of the guidelines. Similarly, not exactly. They all have their own stuff, their own studies, whatever. And a lot of stuff that's in America is banned in European countries and other countries. So it's just crazy to me how, even though maybe in Europe it's not as bad as it is in America, it's still bad. It could still be way better. So, are your clients like international, or are they pretty close to where you are?
No, to be honest with you, I actually have very, very little clients in my country.
No.
I actually have more clients overseas. I have a lot of clients in America. I've got a few in Australia. I've got a few in like Holland and England, but in my country, very, very few. And I think the reason why I have very, very few in my country is because these people are absolutely convinced that a high fat diet is going to kill you. They're absolutely convinced. And this was the reason why I chose not to have like a carnivore name on my profile, or keto Mark, or carnivore coach, or something like that. because I knew if I put this on my profile, people would just scroll past. They'd be like, okay, nah, he's just trying to kill people. He's just one of these people that are trying to advocate a high fat diet. Um, and this is what I said I was never going to do. So I just came up with a name. And I just said, right, I would rather help people and guide them in the right direction, eventually lead them into carnivore. But I find that if I find when I take on a client, you can't just, some people can go down the carnivore route straight away. Other people need a bit of time. And I think the reason why they need a bit of time is because they've been battling addiction for such a long time, and they don't understand the power of carbohydrates. They don't understand how sugar impacts the body, how it's damaging to the body, how you're hungry on a regular basis, cravings. People haven't got a clue about insulin. They haven't got a clue about blood sugar. They don't understand how obesity works. Again, people only think that obesity is all about calories in versus calories out, but it's nonsense. If
Mhm.
you have too much sugar in the blood, you're going to struggle. You're not going to burn fats. And if insulin is elevated on a regular basis, you're going to have these regular spikes and crashes throughout the whole day. This is when you're getting hungry every couple of hours, and the human body is not meant to eat every couple of hours. So when we look at the term of eating in moderation, and people say you need to be eating like 5 or 6 times a day, or 3 meals a day, and have like 3 snacks a day, we're not meant to do that. Our ancestors didn't eat like 6 times a day. You know, I mean, our ancestors only went there, we hunted our food, and we only ate like once or twice a day, and that was it. But now, because we have all this in front of us, we have so much temptation. You walk into a supermarket, there's so much to choose from, and they know exactly what they're doing because they're targeting you. They know exactly what you want. So they're like, okay, if you want to lose weight, you just need to focus on eating low calorie foods. And that's what's going on at the moment. Everything you look at in the supermarkets at the moment is tailored around what you guys need. But we need to move away from this. The likes of low fat, low calorie, that's what's actually doing the damage. It has nothing to do with being on a low calorie diet. If you're on a low calorie diet and you're losing weight and it's affecting your health, and you're walking around and you know something's not right, you're dealing with mental health issues, you're dealing with issues, or let's say along the way you're after developing type 2 diabetes. You didn't just develop type 2 diabetes for no reason. You need to understand that this is coming from your diet. You
Mhm.
need to focus on your diet. What are you eating? That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah, and I did a calorie deficit for a while before I found out about carnivore too, and I was with you. I never had a problem with just not. I was really good at restricting. And I really didn't have those massive binge episodes that a lot of people have. I would pig out, but I wouldn't
Mm.
go full on like binge to the point where I was going to throw up, you know? Um, and I guess I don't really understand the whole people who like cheat on carnivore like a lot. And even though I did it at first, it wasn't like from a point of addiction. It was more of like I want this food, I'm going to eat this food. And I guess that is
Mm.
addiction basically, but it wasn't super bad. So, do you deal with clients who really struggle mentally with like cutting out these foods like really bad, or once they switch over, have you noticed that they tend to struggle less?
No, they struggle at the very, very beginning. Like, there's this term called the keto flu.
Mhm.
And this is what everybody goes through at the very, very beginning when they cut sugar out of their life. They get these withdrawals, these symptoms. Your body's just telling you, like, listen, add the sugar back in. Your body's just basically fighting you. So it's not easy at the very, very beginning, nowhere near. And if you've done an awful lot of damage to your body over the years, you've eaten too much sugar, way too much sugar, then it's gonna take a little bit of time for your body to heal.
Yeah.
Um, it's not gonna happen overnight. This takes time. Some people can heal in 2 months. Some people it could take 6 months. It depends on where you are in your life. But once you get past the healing process and you become fat adapted and you're deep into ketosis and you're getting energy from eating fats and not carbohydrates, you're gonna feel amazing.
Mhm.
You're gonna feel absolutely incredible. Because this is what people need to understand. We can rely on two energy sources. We can rely on carbohydrates or we can rely on fats. Now the difference is one is essential and the other one isn't.
Mhm.
So fats are essential in the human diet, carbohydrates aren't. So when we look at what's going on social media at the moment, they can keep pushing this agenda that carbohydrates are needed. We need it's our main source of energy. Your brain needs glucose. Yes, your brain needs glucose. Yes, your body needs energy, but we don't need to get this from carbohydrates. We can actually get this. We can get glucose through gluconeogenesis. Your body can produce all the glucose it needs. We can get this through an animal-based diet.
Mhm.
So if we can get all this from an animal-based diet, well then someone needs to explain to me very, very quickly why we need to eat carbohydrates on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It's that
I'm a firm believer that, carbs have their place, but it's not for eating on an everyday basis.
no, no. At the end of the day, if you can moderate carbohydrates and you're one of these people that can have a small amount of carbohydrate and you're okay, then by all means keep doing it. For me personally,
Mhm.
I can't eat a small amount of carbohydrate and then that's it, then I'm done. If I eat carbohydrates, it's going to send a signal to my brain telling me there's sugar coming here. I actually enjoy this food and I want more of it. It's like if you gave me if you gave me a biscuit. If you gave me a biscuit and I had that biscuit, I know I can't just say, okay, that biscuit is enough. I can't eat anymore. I would
Mhm.
want the whole packet.
Yeah, and I've heard from. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was like, "Our body knows when our nutrient stores are fulfilled." So, like, say you're eating a steak versus a box of cookies or biscuits, as you would call them. Which has more nutrients? The steak. You're gonna get fuller quicker off of eating the steak when your body realizes that its nutrient stores are filled. Your body doesn't run off of. It does run off of calories. You can't be eating 800 calories of meat a day. Like, that's just not a
Yeah,
good idea. But your body doesn't think, oh, this cookie is this big, but it's only 50 calories, so it's healthy. Your body's like, there's no nutrients in that.
exactly. So yeah, so if you look at say let's say you have 500 calories of say eating carbohydrates,
Uh huh.
and let's say you have like say 500 calories of eating fats. Now when we do the maths, when we eat 500 calories of carbohydrates, if we multiply 500 calories by 4, because that's what there's 4 calories per gram. This is what we were told. Okay, you're gonna get something like a thousand calories, something like that. Okay, so hang on, let me do this again. So, oh no, so 500 multiplied by 4,
It's
that's going to give
2,000.
you, yeah, 2000. Now, if you do 500 and 500 calories come from fats, okay? Now, what we're told is there's 9 calories per gram when it comes to fats. So when we look at 500 calories and we multiply that by 9, that's going to give you 4,500 calories. So obviously, when you look at the maths, people are going to be going towards the carbohydrates. But that's not what we should be focusing on. The hormone response of each of these foods, that's what we should be focusing on. Now, if we eat a lot of fat, that's going to keep insulin low. Now, if we keep insulin low, that means you're not going to be hungry on a regular basis. Now, if I eat 500 calories of carbohydrates, you can be damn sure in 3 hours, in about 2 or 3 hours later, I'm going to be hungry again. And then another 2 or 3 hours later, I'm going to be hungry again. And I'm probably going to eat 6 times a day. And I'm probably going to be eating like say around 6,000 calories. And I can easily put away 6,000 calories of eating processed food. Would I be able to put away 6,000 calories of just eating red meat? Believe me, I've tried it. I've tried to eat like 2 pounds of steak. It's impossible. Impossible. I've struggled, really, really struggled. And I think that's what people need to understand, that the type of food that you eat matters. It's not has nothing to do with calories. It's the hormonal response it has on the body. That's what we should be focusing on.
I'm one of those people in a day that I could definitely put back 6,000 calories of meat. But
Really?
I'm also young, so I guess that's kind of just like the appetite thing. I could eat a lot of steak. Um, definitely.
I-
I
I'm
don't.
get I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I don't, but there will be some days where I'm just like ravenously hungry and I will eat three T-bone, like three. Yeah, I could eat four T-bone steaks in a day, which is about 6 pounds. So yeah,
Wow, that's incredible.
I've never done it, but I know I could.
Wow.
Yeah,
Someday.
someday. Yeah, maybe if I'm like running a marathon, something like that.
And
I
what are
don't.
you doing? And what are you doing at the moment? Are you actually training at the moment, or what are you doing?
I'm not training right now, but I show horses, so for the most part, normally my schedule would be like a lot of riding and those things, but my horse like currently tried to chop her leg off, so we're out of training at the moment, and I haven't had much to do, but I've been wanting to get a gym membership, but it's hard to have like a consistent schedule with time, especially finding a good gym that I can afford. And then on top of that, like I'm young and I'm terrified of
Mm,
grown men, so going to a gym by myself is terrifying enough.
yeah, but I think it's important that women need to understand this because I see a lot of women making this mistake. And when they're trying to lose weight, they do a lot of cardio. Weight training is very, very important, and if you can learn at a young age, I would highly recommend. If there's anybody that's your age listen to this at the moment, when you get a chance to go into a gym, learn to lift weights and learn to lift weights properly, and learn to put on muscle because muscle is your best friend. When we do cardio, if you guys are on a low calorie diet and you're trying to lose weight, if you're adding cardio into your lifestyle, this is going to have an impact on hunger. So you got to think about it. When you do a spinning class, most people will do the spinning class and they're absolutely ravenous. They're starving after that class, starving because you're pushing your body. You're putting too much stress on your body, way too much stress. They're trying to outdo. They're trying to outdo their bodies. They're trying to like burn as many calories as possible. This is only going to catch up on you. This is only going to have an impact on hunger going forward, and it's not going to work. The key to control weight loss or getting in shape is to control your hunger. And all you need to do is don't make it complicated. Just walk daily, eat properly, work on your circadian rhythm, make sure you're adding good recovery into your life. You don't grow when you're in the gym. You don't see results when you're in the gym. You actually see more results when you're actually outside the gym.
So, say I were to start strength training maybe once or twice a week, what would you recommend a beginner start with?
Full body. So when you go into the gym, work every single muscle. You don't need to work towards compound movements. Compound movements are like squats, deadlifts, or bench press or anything like that. You can always do other like machine exercises, cable exercises, dumbbells, stuff like that. But yeah, I would go for a full body or an upper or lower split. So upper would be like a upper body, and then another day, then you can do your lower body. And then once you get advanced, then we can start looking at bro splits. We can start doing a push pull legs, something like that. But yeah, you only need to be in the gym, say 2 or 3 times a week. If you're only like 16, 18 years of age, work on doing full body. And don't focus too much on what people are doing on social media. At the end of the day, this is your journey. Not everybody's the same. So what you see on social media may not work for you. You know what I mean? And this is something that I did myself. I used to copy an awful lot of people in the gym. I used to go with their training style, and it didn't work for me. What happened was I was getting injured, I was getting fatigued, I was getting exhausted, and I was like, no, this is not going to work for me. And it took me years to find out the right system for my body. And now I focus a lot on low volume, high intensity. I'm only in the gym like say half an hour, 40 minutes, so 40 minutes per training session. I have an awful lot of women doing this as well. And it works perfect. It works absolutely perfect.
So, what's your opinion on like calisthenics strength training?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. If you can lift your own body weight, 100%. I actually did one of these workouts a couple of years ago and I thought I was strong. But when I came across this guy doing calisthenics, I was like, oh my God, this is completely different. Completely different. So if I could do it all over again, that's the route I'd go down, definitely.
So like, if we're talking about what would be more enjoyable for at least me, it would be going down the calisthenics route, since that's like, I've always been in gymnastics and cheer, but um I had like a couple of people and a doctor tell me that I have possible like EDS.
Mhm.
So then like calisthenics would either be very beneficial of like keeping the muscle super strong so that I don't
Yeah.
get any ligament tears, or it would do the opposite and I would kind of lean more into my flexible side and just screw everything up. So I'm trying to think of like what would be the best course of action if I were to start working out, to where I could combine, lifting weights and then still do like my handstands and all that cool jazz.
Well, when you think about it, if you can go into the gym and do like a chest press machine doing this,
Mhm.
and you can do that no problem, but you can't do one press up, then if you look at a survival situation, let's say you're hanging off a cliff and you have to try and pull yourself up. What's gonna help you going forward? Lifting your own body weight, or just going into the gym and just doing like a lat pull down and move and just pull up, move down. It's gonna be working on your own body weight, working on your own strengths. And I think that's what we're losing at the moment. If you can't lift your own strengths, then there's a problem there.
Yeah.
Yes, the gyms are amazing. I'm not saying the gyms are not great. They're great for helping people get stronger, get fitter. But when we look at like this training that like the gymnastic, calisthenics, all like that, these are huge because you're lifting your own body weights. So I would be definitely saying to anybody who's your age at the moment, definitely go down this route first of all. Learn how to lift your own body weight first before you start lifting weights in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do a handstand. I can do an assisted pull up. Can't do a normal one. And I think I can hang for like 8 or 9 seconds. Not very long at all, but
Mm,
it's something. But yeah, I can't do a push up. That, like, it's so weird. I just can't do a push
mm,
up. I'm like, I've
mm.
tried and I practiced it, and I think I just don't have the right form or something, because I'm like, I don't know why I can't do a push up. It should not be that
Mm,
hard to do one push up. But
yeah.
I'll have to work on that, I guess, some more.
And if you walked into a gym and just sat on a chest press machine, I guarantee you could do this for about 20 reps, no problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I think what you should do is you should always pick the exercises that are going to be a little bit challenging,
Mhm.
like the likes of the pull ups, the likes of the press ups. They're going to be challenging for a reason. And there's many people out there. You only need to look at people that are in prisons and they don't have any gyms. But when they come out of prison, they're jacked. They look incredible, and all they're doing is just basically body weight exercises, press
Mhm.
ups, pull ups. That's all they're doing, and they come out and they look incredible. So, what I'm trying to say to people is, don't make things complicated.
Yeah.
Yes, there's gyms out there, and there's amazing gyms out there, but you can easily get in shape doing a body weight workout. Easily,
Mhm.
you can easily get in shape just walking every single day instead of doing cardio. You know what I mean? If you implement some sort of strength training, which is probably body weight training, just walk every single day, put the right food into your body, work on your recovery, sleep, keep your body hydrated, you will get in amazing shape. And it'll cost nothing, absolutely nothing to get in shape.
So I think we've had an amazing talk, but I have a question for you. What is something that you would like to leave my audience with? A final message, a question, anything along those lines?
It depends. If you're the same age as Alia, then I would make sure that you don't need anything special. You don't need any supplements. You don't need a gym. Just start with basics. What we just spoken about at the moment. Just do body weight exercises. You don't need to spend a fortune on food. Myself and Alia, we preach the carnivore diet because believe it or not, it's actually very, very cheap. If you eat a lot of ground beef, so that would be the big thing for young people. You don't need all these energy drinks. You don't need all these supplements. If you're a little bit older, let's say you're 35 plus, then you have to remember this. Your body changes as you get older. What used to work for you when you were younger may not work for you right now. So your hormones are going to change. So if you're on these low calorie diets and it's affecting your mental health, you've developed pre-diabetes, you're going through menopause, you have endometriosis, fibromyalgia, PCOS, and you've had arthritis in your joints, you just don't feel good. Well, then it's down to the food that you're eating, and you need to look at your hormonal health. Don't just focus on being on a low calorie diet. And if you are trying to lose weight, remember this: it's not just about a calorie deficit. We already spoke about this. If you focus on your hormones and focus on insulin and leptin and keep your insulin levels low, keep your leptin levels high, you guys will have no issues at all losing weight, and you will have no issues maintaining weight loss for a very, very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm with you on that. All right. This was an amazing talk. Thank you so much. And you guys, if the other episode comes out before this video, which it probably should, I will have it linked down below. And if you're okay with it, I would also like to link your socials. So, have a good day,
Perfect,
guys.
yeah.
Bye.
Perfect.